Captain Jake Morrison stood in his quarters aboard the USS Horizon, staring at the strange object his crew had just given him. The thing looked like some kind of ancient statue, about the size of his fist, carved from dark purple stone. It had weird symbols all over it and two figures that seemed to be dancing or fighting. He could not tell which. "Happy birthday, Captain," Lisa Parker, his chief engineer, had said with a big grin. "We found this in the alien market on Nexus Prime. The seller said it brings good luck with the ladies." Danny Rodriguez, the communications officer, had been trying not to laugh. "Yeah, apparently it works on all species. Universal charm, they called it." Jake knew his crew was making fun of him. Everyone on the ship knew he got nervous around aliens, especially the female ones. Last week, he had turned bright red when the Zephyrian trade representative had simply smiled at him. His crew thought it was hilarious. Now Jake sat on his bed, turning the statue over in his hands. The surface felt warm, which was strange. Most stone stayed cool to the touch. He read the fake certificate that came with it. Ancient fertility. Artifact, it said, guaranteed to attract compatible mates across all known species. The whole thing was clearly a joke. He was about to put it in his drawer when his comm unit buzzed. "Captain, you are needed at the diplomatic dinner in 1 hour," came the voice of his first officer. Jake groaned. He had forgotten about the dinner. 12 different alien species would be there, all wanting to discuss trade agreements and space routes. It was exactly the kind of event that made him sweat. An hour later, Jake sat at a large round table in the station's main dining hall. The Zephyrian ambassador, Kiravash, sat 3 seats to his left. She was tall and elegant with silver skin and large purple eyes. Every time she looked his way, Jake felt like hiding under the table. The Arcturian representative was talking about mining rights when Jake started feeling nervous. Without thinking, he reached into his pocket and began fidgeting with the statue. His fingers traced the carved symbols as he tried to focus on the conversation. Suddenly, the statue began to feel very warm. Jake looked down and nearly choked on his drink. The thing was glowing. Not bright, but definitely glowing with a soft blue light. He quickly covered it with his hands, hoping nobody had noticed. But when he looked up, Kiravash was staring directly at him. Her purple eyes were wide and her mouth was slightly open. She looked shocked, like she had seen a ghost. "Impossible," she whispered in her musical voice. The Centauri delegate, sitting next to her, leaned over. "What is impossible, Ambassador?" Kiravash did not answer. She kept staring at Jake, her eyes now glowing slightly. Jake had never seen a Zephyrian's eyes glow before. He wondered if that was normal. The statue in his pocket was getting hotter. Jake pulled his hands away and the glow seemed to pulse stronger. 3 more aliens at the table were now looking at him strangely. The furry canid representative was sniffing the air. The insect-like hive delegate's antennae were twitching rapidly. "Captain Morrison," said the Altarian ambassador, her voice different than before. "May I ask what that scent is? It is most unusual." "Scent?" Jake asked, confused. "I don't smell anything." But now half the table was acting strange. Some were leaning toward him, others were backing away. The Zephyrian ambassador stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the floor. "I must leave," she said quickly. "Urgent business calls." As she walked past Jake's chair, she stopped and whispered very quietly, "Where did you get that artifact?" Jake looked up at her, confused. "It was a gift from my crew, just a joke." Kiravash's face went pale, which was strange since her skin was already silver. "That is no joke, human. Do you have any idea what you carry?" Before Jake could answer, she was gone, moving quickly toward the exit. The dinner continued, but Jake noticed that several other aliens kept glancing at him. Some looked excited, others looked worried. When the dinner finally ended, Jake hurried back to his ship. Lisa and Danny were waiting for him in the corridor, both grinning. "So, Captain," Lisa said, "did the magic statue work? Did you charm any alien ladies tonight?" Jake pulled the statue from his pocket. It had stopped glowing. but it still felt warm. "Where exactly did you guys buy this thing?" Danny shrugged. "Some old Zephyrian guy at the market. He seemed really eager to get rid of it. Practically gave it to us for free." "And you didn't think that was suspicious?" Lisa laughed. "We thought he was just trying to get rid of junk." "Why? What happened at the dinner?" Jake told them about the glowing, about how the aliens had acted strange, about what the Zephyrian ambassador had said. By the time he finished, both Lisa and Danny had stopped smiling. "Maybe we should look into this more," Danny said slowly. "Yeah," Lisa agreed. "If a Zephyrian ambassador thinks it's important, maybe it's not just a tourist trinket." Jake looked at the statue again. In the light of his quarters, it looked ordinary, just carved stone with weird symbols. But he could not forget the way it had glowed, or the way Kiravash had looked at him. "Tomorrow," he said, "we find out what this thing really is." None of them could sleep that night. Jake kept the statue on his desk, watching it. It did not glow again, but he had the strangest feeling that it was watching him back. Outside his window, the lights of Nexus Prime Station twinkled like stars. Jake did not know it yet, but his life had just changed forever. What his crew had meant as a simple prank was about to become the most important discovery in galactic history. Jake woke up to loud banging on his cabin door. He checked the time. 5 in the morning. Who could be bothering him this early? "Captain." It was Danny's voice, and he sounded worried. "You need to see this right now." Jake threw on his uniform and opened the door. Danny's face was pale, and he was holding a data pad with shaking hands. "Sir, we have a problem. A big problem." Jake followed Danny to the bridge. Through the main window, he could see something that made his stomach drop. 6 alien ships surrounded the USS Horizon. Not small ships. These were massive vessels, each one bigger than a space station. Lisa was already at her station, running scans. "Captain, we've got Zephyrian, Arcturian, Centauri, Canid, Hive, and Altarian ships out there. They're not pointing weapons at us, but they're definitely not leaving either." "What do they want?" Jake asked, though he had a bad feeling he already knew. Before anyone could answer, the communication system buzzed. Danny activated it, and the face of Ambassador Kiravash appeared on the screen. "Captain Morrison," she said, her voice serious. "I must speak with you immediately. This is a matter of galactic importance." "Galactic importance?" Jake repeated. "Ambassador, I think there's been some mistake." "There is no mistake. I am coming, aboard your ship with a specialist. Please prepare a private meeting room." The screen went black. Jake looked at his crew, all staring at him with worried expressions. 20 minutes later, Jake sat in the ship's small conference room. Across from him sat Kiravash and a human woman he had never seen before. The woman looked to be in her 40s with short brown hair and intelligent green eyes. "Captain Morrison," Kiravash said, "this is Dr. Elena Vasquez. She is a xenobiologist. She studies how different species can work together biologically." Dr. Vasquez leaned forward. "Captain, I need to ask you something very important. The artifact you carried last night, where is it now?" Jake hesitated, then pulled the statue from his pocket. The moment it appeared on the table, Dr. Vasquez's eyes went wide. "My God," she whispered. "It's real. It's actually real." "What's real?" Jake asked. "It's just a carved rock." Kiravash shook her head. "Captain, that is one of the most sacred artifacts of my people. It has been missing for over 200 years. We thought it was lost forever." Dr. Vasquez pulled out a small device and pointed it at the statue. Numbers and graphs appeared on its screen. "Captain, this artifact has been scanning your genetic code. The readings I'm getting are incredible." "Scanning my what?" Jake did not like the sound of that. "Your DNA," Dr. Vasquez explained. "Your genetic information. This artifact was designed by an ancient civilization to find people with very special genetic traits." Kiravash nodded. "Captain, your species, humans, are very new to the galaxy. Only 50 years since first contact. But in that short time, we have learned something amazing about your people." "What kind of amazing?" Jake was getting more worried. by the minute. Dr. Vasquez looked at her readings again. Captain, most alien species in the galaxy have been spacefaring for thousands of years. But there's a problem. Their genetics have become stuck. They can't evolve anymore. Their birth rates are dropping. Some species are slowly dying out. That's terrible, Jake said. But what does that have to do with me? Humans are different, Kira Vash said. Your genetics are still flexible, still changing. And according to this artifact, you carry genetic markers that could allow you to have children with other species. Jake's mouth fell open. Children? With aliens? That's impossible. Doctor. Vasquez shook her head. We thought so too until we started studying human genetics more closely. Captain, you don't just carry these markers, you carry some of the strongest ones we've ever seen. The artifact doesn't lie, Kira Vash added. When it glowed last night, it was confirming what our scientists have been theorizing for years. Humans might be the key to saving many dying civilizations. Jake stood up quickly, knocking over his chair. Wait. Are you saying that you want me to have children with aliens? Not just you, Dr. Vasquez said gently. We believe many humans carry these traits, but you're the first one the artifact has responded to so strongly. Jake began pacing around the small room. This is crazy. This is completely insane. Yesterday I was just a ship captain. Now you're telling me I'm supposed to save alien species? Captain, Kira Vash said softly, I know this is overwhelming, but my people are dying. Our birth rate has dropped by 80% in the last century. If we don't find a solution soon, the Zephyrians will be extinct in 2 generations. Jake stopped pacing and looked at her. For the first time, he noticed how sad her purple eyes looked. Dr. Vasquez continued, The 6 ships outside aren't here to force you into anything. They're here because word has already started spreading. News travels fast in the galaxy, and when that artifact activated last night, it sent out signals that every advanced species recognized. What kind of signals? Compatibility readings, Kira Vash explained. Each species received data showing genetic compatibility percentages. Captain, you registered over 90% compatibility with 6 different species. That's unheard. Jake sat back down heavily. So what happens now? Do I become some kind of breeding program? Nothing happens without your choice, Dr. Vasquez said firmly. But Captain, this could change everything, not just for the dying species, but for humans too. The children from these unions would carry the best traits of both species. Enhanced strength, longer life, greater intelligence, resistance to disease. Kira Vash added, and politically, it would make humans the most important species in the galaxy. No longer newcomers, but the bridge between all civilizations. Jake put his head in his hands. I need time to think. Of course, Dr. Vasquez said. But Captain, you should know. This artifact is one of 7. The others are scattered across the galaxy. If someone with bad intentions finds them first, she didn't need to finish. Jake understood. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about the future of countless species, including humanity. Outside the conference room window, the 6 alien ships waited patiently. Jake realized that his simple life as a ship captain was over. Whether he liked it or not, he was now at the center of the most important discovery in galactic history. The statue sat on the table, no longer glowing, but somehow Jake could feel it watching him, waiting for his decision. 3 days passed and Jake felt like a prisoner on his own ship. The 6 alien vessels still surrounded them, and more ships arrived every few hours. Now there were 12 different species waiting outside, all wanting to talk to him. Lisa found him in his quarters staring out the window at the growing fleet. Captain, you can't hide in here forever. I'm not hiding, Jake said. I'm thinking. For 3 days straight. Danny appeared in the doorway. Sir, we've got bigger problems. Now, the Galactic Council has called an emergency session. They want you to attend. Jake turned around. The Galactic Council? What do they want with me? Lisa sat down across from him. Captain, news about you has spread across the entire galaxy. Some species are calling you a miracle. Others are calling you a threat. A threat? To who? Danny handed him a data pad. The Purest Alliance, for one. They think mixing species genetics is against nature. They've sent 3 warships to protect genetic integrity, whatever that means. Jake scrolled through the news reports on the pad. Headlines jumped out at him. Human could save dying species and genetic mixing threatens galactic order. And, is this the dawn of a new era? This is insane, Jake muttered. All this because of a stupid statue. Dr. Vasquez's voice came over. The communication system. Captain Morrison, may I come aboard? I have important news. An hour later, Dr. Vasquez sat in the conference room with Jake and his crew. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. Captain, the situation has become very complicated. The Galactic Council wants to study you like a laboratory specimen. They want to understand how human genetics work. Study me? Jake didn't like the sound of that. But there's good news too, Dr. Vasquez continued. Several species have offered protection. The Zephyrians, Arcturians, and Canids have formed an alliance. They want to make sure you're treated with respect and dignity. Kira Vash entered the room, her silver skin looking paler than usual. Captain, my government has authorized me to make you an official offer. What kind of offer? Kira Vash sat down carefully. A bonding ceremony. It would be like a marriage contract, but with the possibility of children. You would be honored as a hero of our people. Your offspring would be royalty. Jake felt his face getting hot. Ambassador, I barely know you. I understand this is strange for humans, she said gently. But for my people, this would not be about emotion. It would be about survival. However, I want you to know, I would be honored to be chosen. You are brave and kind. I could learn to care for you. Dr. Vasquez pulled out her scanning device again. Captain, I need to tell you something else. I've been testing myself with similar equipment. I also carry compatibility markers. Everyone in the room stared at her. What does that mean? Lisa asked. It means Captain Morrison isn't the only human with these genetic traits. There might be thousands of us, maybe millions. We just haven't been tested yet. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see even more ships arriving. So this isn't just about me anymore. It was never just about you, Dr. Vasquez said. But you're the first. What you decide will affect how the galaxy treats all humans in the future. Danny cleared his throat. Captain, there's something else. We've been researching the artifacts. Lisa found some interesting information. Lisa activated a holographic display in the center of the room. Ancient symbols and star maps appeared in the air. The artifacts aren't just Zephyrian, Lisa explained. They're much older. We found references to them in the databases of 5 different civilizations. They all tell the same story. What story? Jake asked. There was once a species called the Architects. They disappeared millions of years ago, but before they left, they created these artifacts. The legend says they were preparing for a time when the galaxy would need genetic bridges between species. Kira Vash gasped. The prophecy of convergence. I thought it was just a myth. What prophecy? Dr. Vasquez asked. Our ancient texts speak of a time when the children of distant stars would unite the galaxy through shared blood, when the barriers between species would fall, and all would become one people. Jake turned back to the group. So you're telling me that some ancient aliens planned this? That humans were meant to be these genetic bridges? Lisa nodded. It looks that way, Captain. The artifacts were designed to activate when the right genetic patterns appeared, patterns that match human DNA. But why us? Why humans? Dr. Vasquez thought for a moment. Maybe because humans evolved on a world with incredible genetic diversity. Earth has more different species than most planets. Maybe that made us naturally compatible with other life forms. Jake sat back down, his head spinning. So what are my options? Kira Vash leaned forward. You could accept my offer, become the first human to bond with an alien species, show the galaxy that cooperation is possible. Or, Danny added, you could run, take the ship to the outer rim, Hide until this all blows over. It won't blow over, Dr. Vasquez said. This is bigger than any of us. The galaxy has been waiting for this moment for millions of years. Lisa put her hand on Jake's shoulder. Captain, whatever you decide, we're with you. You're not facing this alone. Jake looked around the room at the faces of people who had become his family, his crew who had started all this with a simple prank, Dr. Vasquez, who was trying to help him understand the science, Kira Vash, who was offering to share her life with him to save her people. Outside the window, the fleet of ships waited. Some carried hope, others carried fear. All of them were waiting for his decision. How long do I have to decide? Jake asked. The Galactic Council session is tomorrow, Kira Vash said. If you don't appear, they might make the decision for you. Jake stood up slowly. Then I guess I need to make up my mind tonight. As the meeting ended and everyone left, Jake remained alone in the conference room. The ancient statue sat on the table, silent now, but somehow still powerful. He picked it up and felt its warmth against his palm. Tomorrow, he would face the leaders of 100 worlds. Tomorrow, he would decide not just his own future, but possibly the future of every human in the galaxy. The weight of that responsibility felt heavier than the small statue in his hands. But for the first time since this all began, Jake Morrison was beginning to understand that maybe, just maybe, he was meant for something greater than commanding a single ship. Jake stood in front of the largest gathering of alien leaders in galactic history. The council chamber on Nexus Prime could hold representatives from 200 species, and today, every seat was filled. Cameras from across the galaxy broadcast, the session live to billions of viewers. Captain Morrison, said the council speaker, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms, you have brought unprecedented change to our galaxy. Today you must tell us your decision. Jake looked out at the sea of alien faces. Some looked hopeful, others angry, many just curious. In the front row he could see Kira Vash sitting with her hands folded, her purple eyes focused on him. Honorable council members, Jake began, his voice stronger than he felt. 3 weeks ago I was just a ship captain. Today, you're asking me to make choices that could affect every species in the galaxy. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. But I've realized something, Jake continued. This isn't really about me. It's about all of us, humans and aliens, working together for a better future. He paused and looked directly at Kira Vash. Ambassador Kira Vash of the Zephyrian people has honored me with an offer of bonding. After much thought, I accept. Mambiro, chamber erupted. Some aliens cheered, others shouted in anger. The council speaker had to call for order 3 times before the noise died down. However, Jake said, raising his voice, I have conditions. The chamber fell silent again. First, any human who participates in these genetic compatibility programs must do so by their own free choice. No human will ever be forced or pressured. Second, all children born from these unions will be treated as full citizens of both their parent species. They will never be considered lesser or different. Third, humans must be equal partners in this process. We're not a resource to be used up. We're people, and we deserve respect. The council speaker nodded slowly. These conditions seem reasonable. Does the council agree? After much discussion and several votes, the conditions were accepted. The formal bonding ceremony was scheduled for 1 week later. Back on his ship, Jake's crew threw him a party. It was strange celebrating something so serious, but Lisa and Danny insisted. Captain, Lisa said, raising her glass, a year ago our biggest worry was asteroid mining quotas. Now you're about to make galactic history. And it all started with our stupid prank, Danny added, shaking his head. I still can't believe that statue was real. Dr. Vasquez joined them for dinner. Captain, I have news. After your announcement, over 50 humans on Nexus Prime have volunteered for genetic testing. 12 of them show compatibility markers. 12? Jake was surprised. That many? We think it might be much more common than we first thought. Earth's genetic diversity really is our strength. The week passed quickly. Jake spent most of it learning about Zephyrian culture and customs. Kira Vash taught him their language, their history, and their bonding traditions. The ceremony is not just about creating children, she explained one evening as they walked through the station's gardens. It's about joining two lives, two cultures. Your people will become my people, and my people will become yours. Are you nervous? Jake asked. Kira Vash smiled, the first real smile he had seen from her. Terrified, but also excited. We are about to do something that has never been done before. The bonding ceremony took place in the station's largest hall. Representatives from every species attended, along with media from across the galaxy. Jake wore a combination of human formal dress and traditional Zephyrian robes. Kira Vash looked beautiful in a flowing silver gown that seemed to shine with its own light. The ceremony itself was surprisingly simple. Jake and Kira Vash exchanged vows in both languages, promising to respect each other's cultures and to raise any children with love and wisdom. They placed their hands on the ancient artifact, which glowed softly as it recorded their genetic patterns and created a permanent bond record. By the ancient laws and the new hope, said the Zephyrian priest conducting the ceremony, I declare you bonded across the stars. The celebration afterward lasted 3 days. Jake had never seen so many different species dancing, eating, and celebrating together. It felt like the beginning of something wonderful. 6 months later, Jake stood in the medical bay of Nexus Prime, holding a scanner to Kira Vash's stomach. The small screen showed a tiny form growing inside her. Their child. The baby is healthy, Dr. Vasquez said, studying the readings. Genetic integration is perfect. This little one will have the best traits of both species. Kira Vash squeezed Jake's hand. She will be strong like her father and wise like her mother. She? Jake asked. Zephyrian intuition, Kira Vash said with a smile. We can sense these things. Their daughter was born on a Tuesday, under the light of 3 different suns visible from the station's windows. She had Jake's brown eyes, but Kira Vash's silver skin. Her hair was dark like Jake's but had a slight purple tint. When she cried, the sound was musical, like her mother's voice. They named her Hope. News of Hope's birth spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communication. She became a symbol of the new age of cooperation between species. Scientists studied her development carefully, amazed at how perfectly her dual genetics worked together. By her first birthday, Hope could already walk and speak words in both English and Zephyrian. She was stronger than human children her age, but more adaptable than Zephyrian children. Most importantly, she seemed to instinctively understand both cultures. Meanwhile, the genetic compatibility program had expanded beyond anyone's expectations. Hundreds of humans had joined, bonding with dozens of different alien species. The first generation of hybrid children was healthy, intelligent, and strong. Jake had been promoted to Director of Interspecies Relations, a job that barely existed before he found that statue. His ship had been replaced with a space station dedicated to facilitating human-alien partnerships. On Hope's second birthday, Jake sat in his office looking out at the busy space lanes around Nexus Prime. Ships from every corner of the galaxy came and went, carrying new families, new partnerships, new hope for the future. Lisa knocked on his door. She was now his deputy director, helping manage the thousands of requests they received daily. Captain, sorry, Director. We just got word from Earth. The government is setting up 20 new compatibility centers. They can't keep up with all the volunteers. Jake smiled. Who would have thought? Humans becoming the most popular species in the galaxy. Danny appeared behind Lisa carrying a datapad. Sir, we also got a message from the archaeological team. They found another artifact on Kepler 4 Nori 2b. This one seems designed for a different type of genetic compatibility. Jake looked back out the window where he could see his wife teaching their daughter to identify different types of spacecraft. Hope pointed excitedly at each ship, naming them in her musical voice. Send a team to investigate, Jake said, but carefully. We've learned that these artifacts have a way of changing everything. As the sun set over Nexus Prime, Jake Morrison reflected on how far he had come, from a nervous ship captain afraid of talking to aliens, to the father of a new kind of future. It had all started with a prank gift, but it had become the most important discovery in galactic history. Hope ran to the window and pressed her small hands against the glass, watching the stars appear one by one. In her eyes, Jake could see the future, a galaxy where the boundaries between species had blurred, where all beings were united not by conquest or politics, but by the bonds of family and shared heritage. The little statue that had started it all sat on Jake's desk, no longer glowing but still warm to the touch. Sometimes, when Hope was playing nearby, Jake could swear he saw it pulse with a gentle light, as if approving of what they had all accomplished together.